Namaskar, bhaiya behno, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Today I go back to my new favorite topic, that is wokeism and gender fluidity. I had done I had done a YouTube some weeks back with the sociological implications with Ankit Bhuptani and Abhijit Iyer Mitra. And I had talked to my friend Dr. Harish Shetty. Here is Harish Shetty. Dr. Harish Shetty is well-known psychiatrist, practicing his skills for last more than 40 years. We have been together since college times as a disclosure, but he has been active socially also and also done a lot of social work apart from being a psychiatrist. Now, today I'm going to take the medical issues regarding this sex change operations, gender transition, etc. So I thought, who better than a psychiatrist? Because one of the major issues that British Medical Journal of USA recently pointed out, that it warned against rising gender surgeries which need psychological support, but that is being bypassed in favor of surgery to take things fast forward. There has also been rise in sex change operations in a huge manner in USA, though the European countries are a bit more cautious, but US has gone whole hog. And more worrying is the trend of teenage transition sex change operations, where the number of clinics have risen to nearly 15,000% in USA in last few years. Now, whether this is a correct way of going about solving what is the issue of typically new civilization that we see today in the name of wokeism, or whether it has got something more serious to do with mental health, is something we'll ask for. Before I go ahead, I just read two cases. One is Shlo Cole, who was a girl who was asked to become a boy, and she took some medicines, and then she realized wrong, and she tried to reverse, and it took her years. She started with 17 at the age of 17 years. It took years of mental toll and physical toll before she could become a girl. Then there is a case of Luke Heen, who rushed to the doctors removed her breasts to make her into a boy, and then he realized that it is a mistake, and he tried to reverse the trend, and he says that he cannot become a mother now maybe, and he has taken huge toll on his psychological health, and doctors didn't know he was already under psychological treatment when the sex change operation happened. So these are the issues which highlight what actually could be a very serious issue which is being simply brushed aside. India is also getting into this trend, because when I talked to Hyderabad University head of the Department of Women, she told me girls come to her asking her whether they should go for sex change operation, whether they are truly girl or a boy, the typical fluid gender issue. And she would explain to them and advise them to wait for some more time when they grow up further and they realize what is their true personality. With this, I would begin my session with Dr. Harish Shetty. What do you say of this rising sex change trends that you see? What has been your view generally before I move further?
Well, well, I'm sorry. When there is an increased awareness in mental health, अचानक लोग आके कहते हैं मैं डिप्रेस्ड हूँ, मैं बाइपोलर हूँ,
True.
मैं ये हूँ, मैं वो हूँ, तो हम उन्हें बिठा के कहते हैं कि जरा इसके बारे ये शब्दों का उपयोग जो है संभाल के करना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. When there is awareness, there is a buzz, and the buzz for mental health people is very healthy because then the awareness increases. But what is important is हम बैठ के उन्हें एसेस करते हैं, समझाते हैं, और हम कहते हैं कि ये व्हाट यू से इज डिप्रेशन, इज डिसअपॉइंटमेंट, इज डिमोरलाइजेशन, is probably a bad mood on a day or a few days, so it's not depression.
True.
Similarly bipolar.
True.
अचानक कुछ लोग आजकल आजकल रतन जी कहते हैं कि मेरे पिताजी नार्सिसिस्ट है, एनपीडी है, तो हम कहते हैं यार संभालो, ये शब्दों का उपयोग अवेयरनेस है, बड़ा अच्छा है, आप बताइए मुझे एनपीडी क्या है, तो बताते हैं ऐसे ऐसे ऐसे. मैं कहते हैं पहले तो तुम्हारे पिता पिता है, उसके बाद जो भी है वो है. तो ये एक संदर्भ है, ये एक मेटाफर, ये एक एनालॉजी है. सिमिलरली बड़ा बोमा बोम हो रहा है होमोसेक्सुअलिटी का, सेम सेक्स ओरिएंटेशन का, सेम सेक्स अट्रैक्शन का, और इसकी अवेयरनेस काफी रास्तों में, कोर्टों में और कॉलेजों में बढ़ रहा है. तो ऐसे समय पर अचानक
क्लिनिक में बढ़ रहा है कि नहीं,
वो मैं बताऊंगा. धीरे धीरे तो वो कहते हैं मैं ये हूँ, मैं शायद ये हूँ, मैं शायद ये हूँ, मैं शायद वो हूँ। तो ये जो बज़ इफ़ेक्ट का असर है, ये काफ़ी ज़्यादा है, जिससे some people would go and tell the doctor that I'm a boy trapped in a girl's body, I'm a girl trapped in a body, please help me, please talk to my parents. मेरे पास जब ये बच्चे आते हैं, मैं उन्हें बिठाता हूँ, धीरे से उन्हें सुनता हूँ, बड़ा डीप लिसनिंग करता हूँ, बार-बार बुलाता हूँ, क्योंकि इसका असेसमेंट है वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है टू डिफरेंशिएट फ्रॉम द फेक टू द ट्रुथ। हीरे को भी बहुत 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 संभाल के मैग्नीफाइंग ग्लास के नीचे, मशीन के नीचे देखा जाता है, उसके बाद कहता है ये हीरा है या इमिटेशन है। तो what is important is the increase in clinics is because of doctors who are extremely over enthusiastic, overzealous, and probably bordering on motivated to go ahead and do a lot of surgeries. But they have to be carefully examined, they have to be examined by at least two psychiatrists. Psychological tests have to be done. It should be visible whether it's just a small transient thought, or a thought which has been reinforced for belonging to a particular group. आइडियोलॉजी को साइंस के साथ मिश्रण नहीं करना चाहिए, पॉइजन बन जाता है। आइडियोलॉजी और साइंस को अलग करते बहुत धीरे से। कभी कभी कुछ डॉक्टर्स कहते हैं जरा 2 सर्टिफिकेट लेके आओ, कैसे भी करके जल्दी दे, जल्दी लेके आओ, क्योंकि सर्जन्स पूरे विश्व में चाकू के साथ खड़े रहते हैं। सभी ऐसे नहीं हैं, हम कुछ लोग, बहुत ज्यादा लोग जिम्मेदार है। सो इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टू डिफरेंशिएट द रियल फ्रॉम द फेक। इफ देयर इज जेंडर डिस्फोरिया, अभी जेंडर डिस्फोरिया ये अमेरिकन टर्म है, उसे एलजीबीटी वाले बड़ा अपोज करते हैं। ये इसमें कोई मेंटल इलनेस नहीं, कोई मेंटल का काम नहीं, अलग है, इसको हटा दीजिए। इसके लिए डब्ल्यूएचओ ने कहा कंडीशंस एसोसिएटेड विद सेक्सुअल हेल्थ। So there are a lot of boys and girls who feel trapped in the body of the opposite sex. It has been there in history. Alexander the Great का lover था Bagos, उसका नाम Bagos था. Probably he was a male or she was a male, and then probably there was some operation done, and which is what is written in text. Many of these girls who were trapped in the boys' body have become monks, बाल काट के उनके साथ। वैसे इतिहास में बहुत ही ज्यादा इनके एग्जाम्पल्स हिंदुस्तान में भी है। So what is important is separate the fake from the truth. Do not get carried away. There'll be mushrooming of gurus and mental health quacks. When the agony of mental health increase, there'll be mushrooming of clinics and surgeries when the awareness of transgender, gender dysphoria, gender fluidity is extremely high. So I would tell all viewers, यदि आपका बच्चा कभी ऐसा कहता है कि मैं एक बॉय हूँ ट्रैप्ड इन अ गर्ल्स बॉडी, तो ध्यान रखिए, बहुत डिटेल, बहुत स्लोली उसको समझिए। कम से कम 2 साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास, 2 साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाइए। ऐसे भी साइकियाट्रिस्ट है हिंदुस्तान में, रतन जी, who have converted themselves into a male from a female, and a female from a male. There are psychiatrists. उनको जाके मिलिए, because they are very aware and they have gone through the process with extremely deep thought and analysis. So they will be able to help you to differentiate the fake from science. So as awareness increases, Ratanji, quacks mushroom, and so science gets a bad name. People who are truly transgender may not get the facility, their parents may not accept them, and there would be a lot of people who might just jump into the bandwagon and be traumatized for life.
For example, Harish, is it true that in a young age, when you are a young boy or a girl or teenage, you fantasize yourself as a boy or fantasize yourself as a girl? That was very common earlier. Not everybody turns out to be homosexual, hardly anybody. Maybe
Absolutely.
very
So
small fraction. But when that is turned into immediately into sexual dysphoria and then gender dysphoria are asked to get under the knife, isn't that an atrocity on the children?
absolutely. In fact, a little gender confusion little confusion of sexual orientation is very common among teenagers. In fact, teenagers experiment with each other sexually of the same sex. But after some time, they settle down with an orientation. So when a teenager comes to you with probably gender dysphoria, I'm a boy trapped in a girl's body, मुझे लगता है मैं गर्ल हूँ, मैं पुरुष नहीं हूँ, या हमें लगता है कि मैं गे हूँ, और इसीलिए सावधानी से समय देना चाहिए, और समय के बाद एंजाइटी जब कम होती है, वांटिंग टू बिलोंग का जो अर्ज है वो जो कम होती है, उसके बाद उन्हें पता चलता है कि उनका उनका क्या ओरिएंटेशन है. तो ये अचानक डायग्नोज करने की ये कोई रोग बीमारी नहीं, जैसे हम कहते हैं मलेरिया है, आई सॉ फाल्सिपारम ऑन द स्लाइड, इट इज मलेरिया, ऐसा नहीं है. ये बिहेवियरल है, ये कॉम्प्लेक्स है, और इसका ये मल्टी फैक्टोरियल है. तो बहुत ज्यादा अवेयरनेस करना भी इनसेंसिटिवली बड़ा डेंजरस है. रतन जी, स्कूल और कॉलेजों में क्या है आजकल, वेस्टर्न स्टाइल क्या है, इशू को लो, वर्टिकल इंस्टीट्यूट बनाओ, तलवार और पूरे आर्मामेंट्स लेके कॉलेज और स्कूल में जाओ, द चार्ज ऑफ द लाइट ब्रिगेड, और जाके अपना अवेयरनेस जोर से करो ताकि सभी को हम कन्वर्ट करें. ये कन्वर्जन, ये इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन, ये इनकल्केशन जो है, ये अवेयरनेस नहीं. अवेयरनेस इज व्हेन यू शेयर इंफॉर्मेशन, help children to think and process, and then have a conversation across time for them to understand. So insensitive awareness is very dangerous. Hyped awareness is very dangerous. Bombastic awareness is very dangerous. And the person who does awareness feels he's doing something great for the world. शांति भाई, जमीन पे आओ. बहुत सारी चीजों का अवेयरनेस की आवश्यकता है. You create your awareness and locate it in a context. हर एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट अलग अलग है, हिंदुस्तानी कॉन्टेक्स्ट बड़ा अलग है. तो कहीं भी जाकर इंफॉर्मेशन देना अवेयरनेस नहीं है, सेंसिटिवली कॉन्वर्सेशन करना ये अवेयरनेस है. And awareness.
Dr. Shetty, I would like to also highlight that in case of USA now, the yacht crusade, as you call it, has gone so viral that 10% of the US citizens now call themselves transgenders, out of which 25% have taken sex change operations, which means 8 million people have undergone sex change operation. 33 million people believe that they are transgenders, and this is effect as you believe, maybe due to hyper publicity. At the same time, I would not get into the sociological aspect because I look at it from a new left perspective, but आपका subject नहीं है. There is a lot of hormonal therapy and puberty blockers being used in Western world. For example, in USA from 2017 to 2021, this puberty blockers have risen from 633 patients to uh, 1,390 patients under 18. ऐसा कुछ दुनिया में हो रहा है क्या?
एक मिनट, बहुत अच्छा आपने प्रश्न पूछा. एक बात है, अमेरिका की बात ही अलग है. वो इतने साइकोलॉजिस्ट है, सोशल वर्कर्स है, काउंसलर्स है, क्योंकि वहाँ रिलेटिव्स नहीं है. अमेरिकन ने अपना फूड हैबिट चेंज किया. आपने यदि फास्ट फूड नेशन पढ़ा हो, इफ यू हैव रेड द बुक फास्ट फूड नेशन, once upon a time Americans would cook. Now they don't cook, they just have a burger. So obesity is a very big issue in America. Americans have progressed as far as science is concerned, but alienation, disconnection is extremely high in that country. And at the same time, every piece of science is converted into intervention, business, and its commerce. So I'm not surprised at the increase of these of such operations or surgeries, because alienation, disconnection, and a sense of loneliness can play games with your mind, and probably the entire process of gender reconstruction, when you're not clearly diagnosed, might actually provide temporary meaning in life. हिंदुस्तान में ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है. बहुत आसानी से सर्टिफिकेट्स नहीं मिलते हैं, बहुत मुश्किल से मिलते हैं. पेरेंट्स इतने आसानी से बच्चों को चाकू के नीचे अपने आप को पेश करना, ये भी अलाउ नहीं. दे डोंट अलाउ द चाइल्ड टू गो अंडर द नाइफ. And at the same time, on the flip side, there are true cases, true children true teenagers who need the gender reconstruction or gender change, and they are not able to actually access services because the parents are tremendously conservative and orthodox. But one thing is true: hormonal treatment also cannot start with unless he or she is clinically diagnosed to be having, and parents also are part of the entire process. The Transgender Act, which was passed in 2014, did not incorporate all the recommendations of the committee after the NALSA versus Union of India case. So there are checks and barriers, but you know how it is. If you look at the renal transplant complex and scandals across so many years, people have bypassed all the rules for years and have started and have really illegally transplanted kidneys. So in India, jugaad can happen anywhere. But in my opinion, as of now, 6,000 psychiatrists in the country will not certify somebody as gender dysphoria unless they are very sure. But all the same, I would admit, probably a small fraction may go under the blade without proper assessment. But India is still not America. Well, as to give you a small metaphor, the sales of antidepressants is not as high in India as in the United States because we have a lot of gurus as buffers who treat stress, who treat distress, and who treat anxiety. So India has buffers. That is very important.
But Dr. Harish, you'll be surprised that this begins at the young age when NCRT itself has proposed, rather new education policy has recently proposed that there should be gender neutral toilets, unisex toilets. Don't you think this will create a problem right at the age of uh, pre-puberty or even the scale of at the age of 3, 4, the third, fourth standard, or even younger when children don't know, or then as they grow old, there have been cases of UK where there's been bullying, there has been harassment and sexual harassment also. So are we trying to copy the West without realizing what's happening?
Well, we have tried to copy the West in many ways. We incorporated their legal constitution without thinking. We took the Mental Health Act again with a lot of inputs from the West. So we have this malady. We still have a colonial hangover. I am against this gender neutral toilets completely, Ratanji. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because simple, girls need their privacy, boys need their privacy. And it has been seen that a lot of sexual abuse cases happened when a person of a different gender, an adult of a different gender, has entered the toilet of a girl or a boy, and there have been a lot of sexual abuse cases. Well, NEP is a utopian document and an exercise in English prose. There's a lot of good things. For example, lateral exit is one of the most beautiful
Access,
things.
exercise in English prose.
Absolutely, if you read it in English, I wish, is this document made for a PhD student in English, or is this document made for a common man? I felt that NEP should be easily understood by somebody who has passed 10th standard. But if you look at the English, it's beyond Shakespeare. It's beyond even our gentleman from the Congress Party. I forgot his name, Shashi Tharoor. But at the same time, a lot of good things. But at the same time, a lot of good things. I'm against gender neutral toilets completely because we cannot imitate the West just to belong. And just as Indians have a sense of belonging with the West, when a white person enters a restaurant, all the waiters converge there. I think our IAS officers and ministers should not be behaving like this. I'm against gender neutral toilets. Girls' toilets should be girls' toilets. Boys' toilets should be boys' toilets because genders are different largely. And what is very important to
But
understand is
there is a
sexual.
question, what happens to transgender children then?
Absolutely, transgender children can
There
go.
should be third toilet.
No. I think they should go to a toilet of their gender here, not in the body, and that should be allowed. But the issue is, let's not, in with the prism of awareness, let's not jump beyond the line where the game ends. In a long jump, you can't jump beyond the sandpit, and in high jump we can't jump in the air beyond the pole on the stands.
So, are the cases of this kind of sexual confusion, or I would say sexual identity crisis, increasing in India since last few years, or
Absolutely, in the sense that cases are not increasing, awareness has increased. People,
okay?
children are coming and reporting to the parents, please check me up. As children are coming, reporting to us, saying that they've got anxiety and depression, please check me up. So aware, because of increased awareness, there's a definite more footsteps on falls, more falls on in clinics of psychiatrists and psychologists. More, I would say, more footfalls in clinics of psychologists, psychiatrists, and it's a very good sign. As long as the integrity of the science is maintained, as long as doctors don't jump and become activists. For example, Indian Psychiatric Society very radically, very proactively stated in their position statement some couple of years ago, 1 year ago, 1.5 year ago, that homosexuality is not a disease, and that's a very progressive step. But they went overstepped, and they said that same-sex marriage should be allowed. That's not the job of Indian Psychiatric Society. That's a job of that. There has to be a biopsychosocial consensus. There has to be large debate across all sectors to come to some form of understanding that same people with same sex orientation can live together, and whether you want to give the term marriage, etc., is based on a lot of processes which has to be put in place. I'm not against same-sex marriage. Let me be very clear. But in everybody and anybody wanting to jump the bandwagon to appear progressive is a disease of Indians. Well, in 1947 we got independence. By 2000 we have started asserting. Like for example, when Imran Khan was bowling, uh, Ratan, they all felt Aurangzeb was bowling. And when Iron Botham was bowling, they felt Robert Clive. But came Sehwag, came Virat Kohli, came Ganguly, and they changed the entire paradigm, because by that time the yoke went away and we started asserting. So still we have a lot of people wanting to belong to a Western viewpoint, wanting to belong to so-called a fake progressive viewpoint. So I strongly oppose the IPS to be jumping into the bandwagon and saying that same-sex marriage should be allowed. It's not their job. Their job is to help mentally ill, come back to their families. Their job is to get their rights addressed. And there are a million issues. Let the country decide with a lot of views across all borders. And I'm not against same-sex marriage. Their living should be legitimized, and there should be some framework where they can live as couples.
On the I would say on the flowery prose angle, I can close with your comment on CJ saying that asserting sex, man, women is not so easy. It is very complex issue. So whether he was mixing science with arts or science with wokeism, what's your view on that?
Well, wokeism is the new science according to the wokes. Wanting to be different is a man's true urge. And because every man wants to leave his mark, or every woman wants to leave his mark on this earth by saying something very different. But when his prefrontal cortex is active and his reasoning is good, and though intuitively he might come up with Einstein's E is equal to mc square, nothing wrong in that. But I think let us be grounded at the same time. Let us understand that whatever we talk will not hurt a large number of people. Whatever we talk is will help society to progress, uh, society to live in a manner that is compassionate, collaborative, and also protecting the well-being of the entire society. So wokeism is probably the new ism, but then it will not last for a long time. And this entire hype about a lot of issues also takes time and slowly plateaus down and settles down. This is an era where LGBT is a part of diversity and inclusion, incorporates, and it's an issue which is really seen with high visibility. But after some time, it will slowly plateau as awareness improves and LGBT people are
But
accepted
but
to move
as
ahead.
rights people talk about, the old LGBT vis-a-vis the new LGBTQ plus I plus something. So do you differentiate between the two?
I'll tell you. I would say
Because
it's
LGBT to many people, for example, in India, transgender is not something new. It has been accepted. Similarly, LGB is also accepted. But this new addition of Q plus I, etc., etc.,
yeah, plus
does
Q.
it hurt? Yeah, so does it hurt the rights of the genuine people who require it, or is it a
Absolutely,
fad?
absolutely. I would
Or
say, my dear Ratanji, one of my oldest friends on this earth. Everybody wants to say something new, because in this entire noise of globalization, it is difficult to be heard. The stage is too big, and if you have to be actually heard, you share something different. But after some time, all these terms, which are so many, will slowly settle down to a group, which is not very loose and not very tight. I'll give you a small metaphor. Mental illness classification changed across years. Initially, it was depression. Then they said depression is exclusive; it cannot be associated with other illness. Then they said depression, anxiety can coexist. Then they said depression, anxiety, and sometimes other illness can also coexist. So reductionism is the philosophy of the human race. But the point is, Herman Waprak said, mental is like a cloud. It does not different. It's not divided by a fine line, but it merges into different clouds. So I think even here we might have different terminologies and different names, and each group might fight with each other for a sense of identity. But that is the natural process of evolution of any issue. After some time, it will slowly settle down to something which is acceptable, something which is something interventionable, and something which is true.
thank you so much, Dr. Harish Shetty. I end this particular conversation with appeal to parents to talk to their children openly, frankly, and try to assess what is going on in their mind, because outside your home, a lot of things are happening which you are not even aware of. And if you feel the need to refer to a psychologist or psychiatrist, please don't feel shy. As Dr. Harish Shetty many times says, it is just one of the sicknesses. Like you have your body breaks, your bone breaks, your head also gets a fracture, and you need a doctor's help. So please feel free, because that way you'll save your child life rather than getting it damaged irreversibly. With that, I close my comment. Thank you so much, Harish.
Thank you,
So I
Ratanji. It
hope
was
this
a
message
pleasure
goes
being
through.
here.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure being with you. And thank you for giving science its due and its space. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.